What's going on, people? It's your boy Travis, Horror Movies Uncut, Submissions and Slashers podcast. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Welcome. It is Sunday, December 31st, and this is episode number 48 of the Submissions and Slashers podcast. We are back giving you guys all the info that you need to know involving the independent film genre. What's on tap for this end of the year Volume 1 episode? Of course, we're going to be jumping in, giving you guys part 1 of our best, possibly worst list. You're going to get 2 segments of the best list today, followed by 2 segments of the worst list coming up on the next episode. Holiday action films to watch. We're going to keep it kind of in that family mode that we did last week with Vice Versa, or last episode with Vice Versa. We got another kind of family-oriented, yet darker, family-oriented film for you guys to watch. This might be a little bit under your radar for this holiday season. Weird news of last week. You know we don't go anywhere in Submissions and Slashers land without letting you guys know all the weird shit going on across the globe. So be ready for that coming up. And outside of that, you know, you need to make sure you follow us at all the lovely outlets, the social media outlets. It's at HMUNCUT. That's for Horror Movies Uncut. That is the home of Submissions and Slashers podcast. You can also go over to Horror Movies Uncut. Get your daily news of all the things going on in the independent film genre. So you're talking about action films, sci-fi films, and horror films. All right, so we are going to be jumping right back in, right into reveal number 1, possibly best, possibly worst horror films or independent genre films of 2023. So don't you go anywhere. Make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe, follow us. We're on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Episode number 48. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. Submissions and Slashers podcast. So welcome back to episode number 48, Submissions and Slashers podcast. There's somebody's car alarm going on outside, so I better start getting these things knocked out as fast as possible. One of the films that I've been telling everyone to watch in 2023, that it kills me how I get films sent to me so early that there is a possibility that I might bypass them, even though I don't mean to. And then I get a chance to be reunited with the film in some other capacity. So like, what I mean is I'll get a film sent to me for a film festival that I can attend, and then I'll be reminded that the film is playing at a film festival that I will be attending. And and I'm excited to see the film regardless, because I know it's of quality because of the people behind the film. And when you finally get a chance to watch it and it just blows you away, you know it's your film of the year. You know it's your genre film of the year. You know it's your horror film of the year. And the film that I'm talking about is Damien Runga's When Evil Lurks. Now, you are able to watch this film currently if you have AMC Plus. If you don't have AMC Plus, you can go on Amazon Prime and also rent the film for $4.99. You can pretty much find it on Apple, any of the streaming platforms that you have that you can rent, you can find it. But if you are an AMC Plus user, here you go. This is one of the benefits. You've actually had this available to watch for a very long time. And it's because of Shudder and networks like this that, you know, we genre fans really are able to see quality films from across the globe almost within less than 2 years of them coming out, which is so like mind-blowing to see how far we've come with things like that. And you get excited when you know there's going to be something quality because you know the person behind the film. And the last time we talked to Damien, it was during our last visit to Fantastic Fest for Satanic Hispanics, because he was one of the filmmakers, and we, of course, his portion is my favorite portion, and one of the stars, Damien Salomon, he's in here as well, and he's the guy that was doing the algorithm, which is still out of last year, 2022. One of the highlights in any film for me was his scene from Satanic Hispanics. So when I knew the film, when Evil Lurks was going to pretty much be everywhere, I wanted to just kind of scream this movie out to a bunch of people and say, hey, like, it's a Spanish film. I know it's going to have subtitles. We're kind of at this point where everybody's kind of cool with subtitles now. But if you really, really want to see the best horror movie possibly made in the last 3 or 4 years, you need to watch When Evil Lurks. Possession films, people love them or hate them. One of the things about this possession type of a film is I feel, since it's involving kind of this old folk, possession horror from this ancient Argentine village, you're probably gonna allow some of your people, your Catholics, to be able to watch this and not be too terrified. The film stars two brothers who live in this remote village, and they notice that the animals are starting to act weird. And usually there was a body that's been found. When things like this happen, there's a possibility that there might be someone spoiled, which is kind of like their term for possession, or rotten. I'm sorry, not spoiled, rotten, which is kind of like their term for possession in somewhere in the area of where they live. So of course they eventually find out, and the biggest thing about the lore behind this particular type of possession, if you're unfamiliar with the film, you're not allowed to kill this type of disease, this plague, because it will spread based upon the killing. So unlike most, where your goal is to kind of like do the exorcism and just get rid of it and kill it right off the bat, you kind of got to let these guys kind of be, you know what I mean? Where they, and it's almost like you kind of find out that every town knows that there's somebody rotten that might be living in the town, but you kind of got to let them be, because if you spoil that, you're in trouble. When you get a film like this, of course, exactly what is not supposed to happen is going to happen. And that's when all the great stuff for us horror fans gets. There's so many parts in this film that you're just like, man, that's no joke. A lot of great elements. They got dogs, they got creepy kids, they got creepy old people. It's funny. Ezekiel Rodriguez does a great job. He's the kind of like the father trying to keep everything together. It's so much going on in this movie that and it's shot wonderfully. It's something that I'm sure has the grounds. Like I'm anticipating more from this story, from this world that Damien's creating. So I haven't had a chance to like dig into any upcoming projects for him. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. But yeah, it's he lives in Buenos Aires right now. So yeah, I'm sure he's got something, but there's so much to like about When Evil Lurks. You're going to want to see more. It's just a start to finish, truly thick, great horror film. I enjoyed it. And I think you guys will too. So that is the film that is possibly, if I was to rate like my number one film of the year, that would be my number one film of the year. And I'm telling you, man, I've had this film rated since like September, even before like into August. So there's a lot of films that have come out recently. There were films that were out before then that hit so many great marks. 2023, awesome year for movies. And it has nothing really to do with Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like, while that, I mean, Barbie, Oppenheimer, the Taylor Swift movie, there was a couple other kids' movies. All those films accomplished was just kind of reiterating what we film fans already know. Like, there's quality in these theaters. There's quality on some of these screens. It's just about what's going to get your ass to the theater. For some of you, it was a big ass bomb being blown up. For some of you, it was a lot of pink. For some of us, we were in the theaters before Barbie and Oppenheimer were announced, and we are still in the theaters while those films are not playing there anymore. But I for sure appreciate, recognize, and respect the fuck out of the impact that both of those films and some others had during 2023, because it added to, really took it over the top, to be honest with you, a very, very good returning year from, post-pandemic for 2023. So, all right. The other film that I wanted to mention is The Black Mass. And The Black Mass is the film that, for me, it's like when you have a film that's of like super high quality indie, it's got a little bit possibly more money behind it. You got that influence of like Argentina and the South American Film Society behind things. You're gonna get a lot of legs behind a film like When Evil Lurks right off the bat. But for me, a film like The Black Mass deserves just as much love, just as much credit, even though I know it's not going to possibly receive the same type of reaction. But one thing that I will say is, for everyone who's seen The Black Mass, Devaney, girl, you killed it. Super proud of you. Super proud of everybody you got in the film. Jeremy London and everyone, Nick, everybody. For someone to make a movie about someone as well known as like Ted Bundy, I mean, what more do we need to see? And I think the craziest thing about it is, whenever we saw that little Zac Efron movie that came out not too long ago, it almost kind of felt like, all right, we've kind of touched everything we need to touch on Bundy. We need to go ahead and just move on. I'm expecting John Wayne Gacy to make a revival, maybe Ramirez, maybe some Albert Fish. I don't know. But the thing that I enjoy about Black Mass so much is knowing how like much Devaney is. She's such a not only is she a scream queen, starlet, little independent genre superstar. She's got a list of them. Tristan, she's got a list of them in the film with her. Sarah Nicklin, big shout out to Sarah. Love Sarah, everything she's always been in. There was a sexiness that was added to this film that I think only could be done by Devaney. That's what I'm trying to get to. There's this carnal, primal thing about this film that, like, I feel like she wanted to make sure it got across, and man, did it hit. There's a lot of parts of this film where you're sitting there and you're like, this does not even make sense. The dude is literally just sitting right there by all these potential victims, He's already committed all these crimes and stuff like that. What could make this film work, knowing that it's almost pretty much the end of the road for Bundy? And that's the beauty of Black Mass, is it's really showcasing the downfall of him. And I think probably the smartest thing is the phone call situation where he's calling his ex and he's talking about how it's he didn't even feel anything anymore, really. And there's this very enticing, for some people possibly hard to watch scene where one of the girls, Devaney, is in the room and she's like changing and he's on the outside of the wall, but it's like this whole dark, like lucid fantasy that like I enjoyed, because when you look at these serial killers and their perversions, like you want almost them to be as almost as animal as they could possibly be, and no one ever does that in any films. Like you get to see their brutality for sure. And to be honest with you, like I don't think we've seen a more brutal Ted Bundy than in Black Mass. So look, I know there are so many riveting documentaries about terrible white people that we are finding out every single fucking week, right? Every time you turn on Netflix, there's a doctor, preacher, dentist, fucking middle school teacher, you know what I mean? That's got some documentary about some ring of prostitution, date rape, drug, Westboro shit, right? But we forget like that there was a time where there was this like unspeakable evil that was just constantly walking in the back doors of people's houses, and that shit's terrifying, man. Like I'm sorry, I feel like it would have been way more terrifying to live during that time period than the shit we got now. I'm not afraid of this shit now because this shit now is fake. These motherfuckers were no joke back then, and it's about time somebody really, really pushed that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things about Black Mass that I enjoyed is like Penn did not hold back making you see like how vicious, how terrible, how just really nothing left but just this primal man is what he was left, you know? Very smartly written too. A lot of credit all over the place. And all the girls are great in the movie. All the girls are great in the movie too. So those two films are going to kick off part one of my favorites. I'm going to come back a little later after Weird News of the Week and give you guys two more films that I feel are two of the best genre films of the year. Black Mass, and of course, When Evil Lurks. You guys definitely got to check those out. Make sure you're on the lookout for them. You know where to find us. Be on the lookout at HMU NCUT, Submissions and Slashers Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Don't go anywhere, people. We need to come back, talk about some weird news of last week. Okay, right people, welcome back. Submissions and Slashers, episode number 48. Happy New Year, people. I hope you guys are, right now it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was thinking I wasn't going to do this until later this evening, but I might have plans now. So I'm like, I better knock this out. But I hope you guys are going to be having a wonderful New Year's Eve, whatever you're doing, being safe. If you got some party, man, do it up. Be like, let it all loose, man. Get it out. Dance your night away, fuck your night away, whatever you got to do, man. Drink your night away. Just be careful, man. Use Ubers and shit. If you ain't got enough money for an Uber, don't take your ass out. Walk, go find your neighborhood bar. Like most of the bars in your neighborhoods are open for like Sunday because of NFL football and stuff. So they're usually going to be staffed going into New Year's Eve. And honestly, man, a Sunday night is really not a bad night to pop a champagne bottle with some people that you love on New Year's Eve. I'm potentially going to a house party. If I don't go to the house party, then I ain't potentially going nowhere. Now I got a couple house parties that I've been invited to. We'll have to see. Of course, it's about to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm sure like most people are now starting to kind of finalize all their overall plans, and you kind of got to because all the stores are closing, and like every store from the weed shops to grocery stores. Liquor stores are going to be open for a while because why wouldn't they? Why would you miss out on that money? But yeah, man, we do have some weird news of last week for you, and it's kind of a little heartfelt, like feel good end of the year story. So normally, let's see, we found a dog poop dispenser that looked like a grenade. There was a actual like missile in one dude's yard. So like you got all these things that people find that could be possibly terrifying, but there was a theater in Atlanta that was going through a little renovation project, and they tore down a wall and they found a wallet that has been missing for about 65 years. Now, this theater has had a couple renovations. So the theaters, they believe, the Plaza Theater, the theater's owner, Chris Escobar, he believes that there was like a lost and found area that was in the previous renovation that somehow got sealed off. And then when they were digging in, this is where they found this wallet. Pictures were still intact, ticket stubs, everything still intact in the wallet. I was like, is there some money in there? Like, what? You know what I mean? So, of course, we live in a day and age where you can track down people from 65 years ago, but more than likely they're not living anymore, as they found the owners of this wallet. But they did find the daughter of this wallet's owner, and when she was given her mother's wallet, because they contacted her and gave her the mother's wallet, of course, just completely overwhelmed with emotion. There's like old photos in there of her family. I mean, like, it's a wallet, man. Wallets are like, they're little safes, right? And it's crazy because to think it's a wallet too, so it's purse, wallet, it's a woman's wallet. She was taking her kids probably out to the theater. She was probably a very progressive, independent woman back in that time period too. So much history from something like that. And I know it's not that weird, but I thought it was kind of a dope story to talk about. We'll go back to finding bombs and shit like that, and weird lemonade stands and things, and people getting poisoned, and fingers being found in salads and shit, coming up here shortly. But I figured, why not in 2023 with something a little bit more lighthearted? So like a feel-good weird news of the week, you know what I mean? So we appreciate the people down there at the theater for not only like taking the step to find the owner, man, and then delivering the story, because that's history, man. And there's some stuff that you can't ever replace in things like that. So big shouts to them, man. That's what's up. All right. So we need to hop back out. We need to come back in, and then we got to talk about the horror holiday action whatever film, right? It's just a holiday film under the radar that you might have missed, that you don't know you might have missed, or that you might have been like, man, I remember that. We're going to talk about that when we come back, and you guys are going to get a kick out of it, because it is probably one of the funniest holiday films ever, and it has nothing to do with gifts or Santa Claus or anything. We'll be right back. Submissions and Slashers podcast. Follow, like, subscribe, money, send right now. Welcome back. Submissions and Slashers, episode number 48, winding it down into the second half of the episode. We are bringing our final film in the holiday genre film that may be under your radar in case you might have missed. we talked about what did we do? Invasion USA, vice versa was last episode. The film that I'm going to talk about next is truly a Christmas movie. It is a holiday film, 100%. It involves family. It involves robbery. It involves criminals. And it involves one Mr. Dennis Leary. And the name of that film is called The Ref. And that is 1994's The Ref, which also stars Kevin Spacey, Judy Davis, and a cast of others that you will recognize through and through when you see this movie. Because the crazy thing about it is, while it's never gonna be looked at, of course, as a classic, one of the things that people need to know about Ted Demme's film is it's such an exact picture, Polaroid, if you may, of what was going on in like suburban society. And even still to this day, it holds up. That's a hard thing to do, especially when it comes to a holiday film, because normally holiday films only hold up because of the holiday stuff. So the Santa Claus, the elves, the presents, the snow, you know, it doesn't matter. Christmas Vacation's always going to hold up because people have always had, you know, in-laws. So now you have people, when they have their in-laws in, they feel like they're going through the Clark Griswold experience. You know what I mean? If you are a kid who's ever been left over for a boarding school or like a grandparent's house or something like that, the Home Alones are going to resonate with you. The Better Watch Outs are going to resonate with you. They even got like the Holdovers and things like that. You're going to be able to go back and see Unaccompanied Minors and things like that, which are holiday films about kids in airports that are just waiting to fly during the holiday season. The Ref, just like all those films, has all those elements that you're going to see, like the Christmas pageants, the shopping, the family get-togethers, the dinners and whatnot. But it's got so much just backward ass Midwestern, like kind of conservative, kind of liberal in the household. The kids hate the parents, parents hate the kids, kids are criminal, parents don't like each other, nobody's fucking in the house whatsoever. And of course, the only person to get everything all sorted out in the house, a thief, you know, a thief. Not the psychiatrist that they pay all the money for, but a thief. Not the family therapist, but the thief who becomes the family therapist. Look, I am all about having a couple of those kind of late night holiday comedies for your adults to watch when the kids are at bed, right? And, you know, your Bad Santas are in those books. Your Trading Places, Lethal Weapons, right, are in those books. The Ref definitely needs to be in that category as well. And I'm telling you, man, go watch it right now. It holds up. 1994, but it holds up with everything we have going on in the world. The only thing that's missing is the cell phones. Seriously. But a lot of great stuff. It's hilarious. The Kevin Spacey and Judy are great. Everyone does a fantastic job in the movie. So make sure you got, and Christine, what's her face? Bernatsky. Like, this is one of those roles that kind of made her who she always was in a film, that kind of snooty, stuck up thing that you would see in another Christmas movie, Bad Moms Christmas, which is a very entertaining Christmas film to watch on some levels. So, you know, that's going to do it for the holiday films under the radar. In case you missed it, involving, this is another kind of dark comedy. You got action. You know, we kicked it all off with, you know, the horror film that kind of, in my opinion, created the Black Christmases and stuff like that, which was Silent Night, Bloody Night. To end it with The Ref, man, I think that's great. I think that shows like a nice wide range of films. Invasion USA, Silent Night, Bloody Night, The Ref, vice versa. I think that's touching various genres within. So I'm happy to be able to tell you guys those films in case you might have forgotten about them. And if you heard me rattling off some other stuff there in that last couple 5 minutes, you probably were like, oh shit, fucking forgot about that movie too. And I did that on purpose. So yeah, we'll look forward to doing that again next year. It's going to be interesting. There's so many holiday films that the Hulus and the Paramounts and the Netflix and all those guys have to put out just for their own, that I'm sure there's something in there that is going to be worth watching. So if you guys know of anything that you saw this year, something new that I didn't mention, because I didn't really mention anything new whatsoever, let me know, man, because I'll be always looking for some new holiday genre film to watch. All right. So I'm going to pop out, come back in, and give you guys part 2 of this first version of the best and possibly worst films of the year. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back shortly wrapping up the episode right after that. Submissions and Slashers podcast. We appreciate you guys. Episode number 48. We're about to hit that 50 coming up pretty soon. Make sure you're hitting all that subscribes and likes and follows and all that stuff, because money is on the way. All right, people, we are starting to wind down episode number 48, Submissions and Slashers podcast. As always, make sure you are following us, hitting those likes and subscribe buttons so that you are constantly updated when we have a new episode of the Submissions and Slashers podcast. We are wrapping up 2023, talking about the best and possibly worst films of the year. In this first episode, we are talking about the best films, and my third film that I'm going to be talking to you guys about to finish this up for today is going to be looked at as one of the best films of the year, possibly one of the best films of the decade, and that is J.T. Mulner's Strange Darling. The film stars Kyle Gallner and also Willa Fitzgerald, and let me tell you folks, this movie is going to throw you from a loop from the beginning. It's going to keep you from the minute it goes, and it's never going to let you go. Classic appearances by people like Ed Begley in the film and Barbara Hershey in the film that just kind of, it puts the icing on the cake for your genre film fans out there. And it is a roller coaster of a movie because it does not ever really tell you that you're okay and you can go home now. You know what I'm saying? The movie involves one of the weirdest Tinder dates you could probably ever see. And then things kind of start getting a little freaky and kind of a little toxic. And then from there, man, it just becomes this thrill ride that you never want to end. And I mean, and honestly, I got to leave it at that. Just like when I wrote the review for the film, I had to leave it because it's the way that the film's being told and the chapter layout, what you're following, it's just too easy to spoil something so worth seeing, like the moment that it happens, that I dare not really talk anymore about what's going on in the movie other than what I said. Okay, you must see it. This is a film for thriller fans as much as it is for horror fans. For people who like, thrillers, true crime thrillers, things about serial killers. Like I was talking about earlier with Black Mass, we have this fascination in the world where people are sitting there watching, these documentaries all day long on these crazy people and these crazy existences and stuff like that to make themselves feel better sometimes. Watch something like Strange Darling and see what it's like to just allow someone to be creative and really dig into the psyche of who we are as people and the evils and just torturous shit we could do to each other. It's crazy. It's a great film. I can't wait for everybody to see it. I have no idea any of the release information on this film. I know Miramax and all those guys are behind it, so I'm expecting to see more of a theater run coming up pretty soon. Very, very soon, I'm sure. Outside of that, it is a movie you definitely want to make sure you're paying attention to the minute you hear of it. Strange Darling. That is another one of the best films of the year right here. Gave it a 5 out of 5 on that Horror Movies Uncut lifestyle, baby. So make sure you guys check that out. Okay. Big budget action thrillers to see. So I picked 2 because there's, we got Night Swim coming out this weekend. And then next week, you do have 2 action films coming out. One of them's more of a comedy. That's The Book of Clarence, which stars my boy from Atlanta. And then you got The Beekeeper, which is the Jason Statham movie. I put both of them on because they're both so different from each other that I got a feeling that they might receive different audiences. The Beekeeper, like, they both have a lot of appeal to everyone, and they got a couple like very noteworthy cast members in both films as well. The Beekeeper is just kind of your typical action film that just has this weird premise where Jason Statham used to work for this special op unit called the Beekeepers, and they really do like bees, and Felicia Rashad was like his friend who was a beekeeper. It's the weirdest fucking premise. But it's an action film. There's violence. I'll see it, I'm sure. But I'm not expecting too much from it. It's trying to show some conspiracy between some how people get credit card scams and how old people get scammed on. Yeah, man. I don't know. This is for somebody's grandma. So The Book of Clarence is a little bit more creative. It talks about, this time where Jesus of Nazareth was around, and Clarence decided that he wanted to be as famous as Jesus. So he started to kind of do some of the same things as Jesus, but more of like a con artist. But he was a warrior and a fighter, and a soldier. So that's why there is some battle scenes and some fight scenes that he's involved in. And yeah, it looks pretty funny. But both of the films don't look amazing, which is why I'm like, hey, they are big budget action films. So might as well go see them, right? They both come out January 12th. You might hear some thoughts if I get dragged into one of them by my son or something, but don't expect too much from me on either one of those films. And I know you guys are probably like, but Travis, I thought you said you were going to be doing more action stuff. Talk about more action films. That's true, but come on, man. The Beekeeper. Come on, fam. The Beekeeper. All right. So, indie film shout outs from Below the Grave. And then in regards to what the hell is streaming last week or next week, people, I kind of already gave you guys everything. We can make a quick rundown of it again. Night Swim, Suitable Flesh. They Turned Us Into Killers. Everyone Will Burn. Tim, Destroy All Neighbors, Laced, and The Human Trap. So those are the same things that I said on the episode from a couple days ago. But the indie film shout out from Below the Grave. There is Slam Dance 2024 on the way in January. It's kind of like a kickoff festival for festival films or for film festivals. And Slam Dance always has amazing titles. There's going to be a movie, Brando with a Glass Eye. And it's kind of like a crime drama. Very intriguing story because it follows a guy who is he wants to go to school for method acting. And he wants to go to this prestigious New York school for method acting. But the thing is he doesn't have the money to go to the school. So he and his brother decide to create a robbery or do a robbery. When they do the robbery, they harm this guy to the point where he, loses an eye. The goal is to go in and finish this dude off, but he ends up befriending the guy. And then, he kind of starts being with this guy, as he's working on his journey of becoming like the best method actor of all time. So, sounds intriguing. It is a Greek film. I'm probably not going to get a chance to see it. But Slam Dance always has amazing movies. So this will be playing Saturday, January 20th at the Yarrow Park City Theater, and then they get a second screening on Wednesday, January 24th. First screening's at 9:45. Second screening's at 6:45. Brando with a Glass Eye is written and directed by Antonis Tonis. So, that is our little indie film shout out from below the grave. All right, people, that's going to do it. Episode number 48 in the books. Happy New Year, people. By the time you guys see, hear, listen, love this, more than likely you'll be turning over into that new year. We got another episode coming up in a few days where we'll get that part 2 of what's going on with our best, possibly worst list. Hopefully we'll get that review for Ferrari. Gonna go try to see that tomorrow, New Year's Day, with my son if he's too busy with his new PC. And then, hopefully we might try to hold off and wait and so that we can give you guys some Night Swim love in that podcast as well. But that's Wednesday. I'm supposed to go see that. So maybe Thursday, probably Friday at the latest for the next episode, number 49. But this is episode number 48, Submissions and Slashers podcast. Thank you, people. Have a lovely, as the sun is now starting to take over at 3:30 in the afternoon. You guys have a lovely New Year's, folks. Be safe. Episode number 48. Make sure you follow us at HMUNCUT. Like us, follow on YouTube and Spotify. Submissions and Slashers. We will catch you on the next one. We are out.